Right. So let's get started then. My name's Dan from Dan's Test Prep. This is Tutor Tuesday, the first Tutor Tuesday of the new year. And in Tutor Tuesday, we're going to go and cover SAT, ACT, and other types of math and reading problems. Basically, something that'll prepare you for your standardized tests. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Has anyone taken SAT this spring? Do you guys want to focus on any specific topics? We can do like math, reading, writing. 10 on a PSAT. It's not bad. I like to go through math personally, so if you guys want, we could start with something math related. And let me paste in some questions. Well, maybe we can do like alternating. Yeah, so I have a few questions here. Let's go over this math one first because I like math, so that's what we could start off with. Okay. So this one's saying local gas station had 135 customers. The table above summarizes whether or not they purchased gasoline, a beverage, or both, or neither. Based on the data in the table, what is the probability that a gas station customer selected at random on that day did not purchase gasoline? It's kind of a lengthy conditional probability, but I think you guys should be able to do this. Given, so what is the probability that a gas station customer selected at random on that day did not purchase gasoline? Yeah, you could submit SAT questions. Let's see. So if we selected them at random, hold on, my drawing pad's not really working. Yeah, in the meantime, feel free to put in your questions in the chat. I'll paste them right after we finish this one. Okay. What is the probability that a gas station customer selected at random on that day did not purchase gasoline? That's just going to be this row right here. In total, there were 50 people who did not purchase gasoline. And we can divide that by the total number of people that came on Tuesday, which was 135. That's also listed right here. 50 over 135 is going to be exactly answer choice D. So not too bad at all. Just a little simple probability problem. I'm thinking to alternate between math and reading, so the next question I've got up here is a reading problem, but it does use like some graphs, some data. Okay, I see some questions submitted in a chat. Let me put those over here. We'll cover those next. So this one is saying investigative journalists research and report about fraud, corruption, public hazards, and more. The graph shows the number of investigative articles published in the Albuquerque Journal newspaper from 2010 to 2019. According to an analyst, although the number of investigative articles published in this newspaper has varied significantly over the period shown, blank. We want to use data from the graph to justify the underlined claim. The number overall has fallen since 2010. So there's 2010. It looks like it goes up for a little bit and then comes back down, and overall up to 2019 it's fallen significantly. So answer choice A looks like a good choice here, right? The newspaper published approximately 1,000 articles in 2010 and 500 in 2019. The other answer choices, like this just shows that it's growing. This doesn't show a growth or decay. This doesn't show a growth or decay. So it has to be answer choice A. Okay, not too bad. Let's move on to the next. Submitted by a little baby. What is the minimum value of the function graphed on the xy plane above for between -4 to 6 on the x-axis? Okay, well, minimum value, smallest value of the function, and we are limited in x from -4 to 6. Well, the minimum value, I could see it occurs right here, right at -4. That's not the answer, though. The minimum value refers to the y value. Y value. So in this case, the minimum value would have to be -2, or answer choice C. Another one from Little Baby. Triangle ABC above is isosceles with AB is equal to AC and BC is equal to 48. The ratio DE to DF is 5 to 7. 5 here, 7 here. What is the length of DC? Okay, well, we know what BC is. From B all the way up to C is 48. It's also split into a ratio of 5 to 7, so that's 5 parts to 7 parts. In total, that adds up to 12 parts. And the whole units that we're considering here is 48 units from B to C. This triangle right here and this triangle right here, if the ratio of this side to this side is 5 to 7, it's going to be the same thing right here to here. It's also a ratio of 5 to 7. So we just have to figure out how can we convert that into something that, instead of having those 12 parts, can match with 48 units. What I'm thinking is if there's 48 units per 12 parts of a whole, there's 4 units per part. Right, so like this is 5, this is 7. The ratio is 5 to 7. Then that would mean that this actual side length is 5 times 4. 5 times 4. And this one is 7 times 4. Because you see, the 5 plus 7 here makes 12. In order to get it to an actual units, which is 48, we need to multiply everything by 4. So that means BD would be 20 units long, and DC is 28 units long. We maintain that proportion of 5 to 7, and in total 20 plus 28 would add up to the 48 units that we're expecting to see. So yeah, DC would have to be 28. Yep. Okay, next one submitted by Bear. This, I guess it kind of fits into some of the easier algebra questions on the SAT. You might see something where you have to simplify. So all you have to do is really combine like terms. If there's a negative sign before the parentheses, you distribute that negative sign in. Otherwise, you could remove the parentheses and just group similar terms together. So we get 8n cubed minus 4n cubed is 4n cubed. Then we have the next highest term is 5n squared. And then the next highest is 8n plus 6n, which is 14n. Okay. Let's pull up another question. I know you guys have been submitting a lot of math, and I have one more that I want to cover. Yep. This one tells us the shaded region shown represents solutions to an inequality. Which ordered pair is a solution to this inequality? Since they gave us the graph, I would actually just check whether all of these points fit into the inequality or not. So something like 0, -4 would be down here. That's outside, it's way outside. 0, 4 is also way outside. -4, 0 is also way outside. And the last choice that we have is 4, 0, which it does fit. So guess and check, or graphical method, we can easily figure that one out. Let me shift into a reading question. This one will be interesting. It says, which choice most logically completes the text? And it looks like some kind of science passage. So let's read through it. To investigate the history of plate subduction when one of Earth's tectonic plates slides beneath another, Sarah M. Aarons and colleagues compared ancient rocks from the Acosta Gneiss complex in Canada to modern rocks. Using isotope analysis, the researchers found the Acosta rocks dating to about 4.02 billion years ago most strongly resemble modern rocks formed in a plume setting. By contrast, the ones dating this and this have an isotope composition similar to modern rocks formed in a subduction setting. Let me highlight some of those details. This is plume, and this age is subduction. I color-coded it for you. So subduction-like processes began occurring in some locations no later than 3.75 billion years ago. Well, I mean, that makes sense, right? Subduction-like processes were dated to this time period. So let's mark that for now, and let's check some of the other choices. Subduction replaced mantle plume formation as the most common geological process by about 4.02 billion years ago. Well, no, 4.02 billion years ago, this was still the plume setting, not subduction. The majority of rocks formed through subduction, no, they don't say anything about the number of rocks. They just say the age. The rocks are the rocks of this Acosta Gneiss complex are more of a more recent origin than scientists previously thought. That also isn't indicated in the passage. So yeah, we'd say that this subduction process began no later than 3.75 billion years ago, which is matched with the evidence in the passage. Okay. Okay, next one, I have another math one. The function f is given by the defined equation. If g of x equals f of x plus 2, which of the following equations defines the function g? Well, g is just f of x plus 2, meaning anywhere we see f of x, when we have f of x, we have 9 times 4 to the x. When we have f of x plus 2, we have 9 times 4 to the x plus 2. Right, anywhere we saw an x, that input, we just replaced it with x plus 2. And this is also equivalent to g of x, which is what we're trying to solve for. So we just need to simplify this a little bit. 9 times 4 to the x plus 2. That's the same thing as 4 to the x times 4 to the 2. You can split it apart using your exponent rules. 4 to the x times 4 to the 2. Because when we multiply the same base, we add the exponents. Then you can simplify 4 squared to 16. And 9 times 16, it seems like the only answer that would fit here is 144. 144 times 4 to the x. So you can see how we simplified that, turned it into a constant, and now we can match that to answer choice B. Let's do another math problem. Functions transformations. The graph of y equals f of x plus 14 is shown. Which equation defines function f? Well, if this is the graph of f shifted up by 14 units and has an intercept at 2, y-intercept equals 2, the original y-intercept should be 14 units lower because remember we transformed it up 14. So the original y-intercept should be negative 12. That only matches with answer choice A. Okay. Next one is words in context reading question. Arturo Schomburg was dedicated to preserving books, art, and other materials from peoples of African descent around the world. To get these items, Schomburg blanked friends and colleagues, whom he asked to bring back rare and valuable objects from their international travels. Now Schomburg's collection is a valuable resource for scholars of Black history and culture. Okay, so we just need to replace the blank with whatever word, or I guess all of the choices to see what word would fit the best. He admired friends and colleagues. I don't think that's, I mean, it is a positive connotation, but I don't really think that's what he did. He probably took more of an action, like something more active to get them to bring those items to him. Disagreed with, I don't think if he disagreed, then he would have gotten those items. That's the negative connotation. He warned, that seems kind of ominous. And depended on. Depended on makes the most sense to me. Depended on means that he relied on them to bring the items to him. And that makes sense, right? You can rely on a lot of people to kind of crowdsource your collection. So we'll go with D for this one. Okay, I see 2 more math questions in the chat. I'll put those in. Question number 30, yeah. All paper SAT stuff. Pretty sure I've covered this one before. Maybe a couple times, but it's a good one. It says, in quadrilateral ABCD above, AD is parallel to BC, and CD is equal to 1/2 AB. What is the measure of angle B? Yeah, initially it doesn't seem like you have enough information to solve this problem, but we can label some stuff out and we can fill in the missing information because it's all actually given. So AD is parallel to BC. This line is parallel to this one. By definition, since this is a right angle, this is also a right angle. And this line right here, since it's perpendicular to both of those, we can extend it down here and make another parallel line. Or we can put kind of like a point E here and say BE is parallel to CD. Kind of playing off the fact that these 2 lines are parallel, plus using the right angles here, we can say that this is true. So from here, we also know that CD is half of AB. Well, that also means that BE is half of AB. Let's just arbitrarily set this side as X. This side is going to be 2X, right? Because BE, CD, and by definition BE have to be half of this long side AB. But what you'll notice here now is that this is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. We know that this is 90 degrees because we draw a perpendicular line straight down. we know that this is 30 degrees and this is 60 degrees because 30, 60, 90 triangles always have a small short leg of x and a hypotenuse of 2x. And the last piece of information is just this corner angle, angle EBC. And that one is 90 degrees. So when you add up all of these numbers together, to get the entire angle B as 60 degrees plus 90 degrees, which is 150 degrees. To me, angle B looks like a very wide angle, almost 180 degrees. So yeah, 150 makes sense as this answer. Moving on to the next one. More lines and angles stuff. So this one says lines L and M are parallel and lines S and T are parallel. If the measure of angle 1 is 35 degrees, what is the measure of angle 2? Well, you can fill out some of the angles here very easily using our, I guess, some what is it? Transversal rules. Like right here and right here, those two are vertical angles. It's two lines crossing each other, and across that vertex, this angle is also 35 degrees. Then we can use something called the same side interior angles, knowing that this portion right here, when we add it to this portion right here, those two parts will add up to 180 degrees. So that this must be 145 degrees. Again, same side interior angle right here, so this is 35 degrees. You can see if I took this 35 degrees and I slapped it onto the 145 degrees, I will get to a total of 180. So that's how we know that's valid. Oh. And last thing is, if we have a straight line and a line cutting through it, right? A straight line has to add up to 180 degrees, so we know that this part right here and this part right here have to add up to 180. So 145 degrees right here. Once you get good at these, you can kind of just say, okay, this is 35, that's 35, and this is 145. But if we want to take it step by step, do like every angle, you can fill in as many as you need to get 145. Okay. Let me look for... This is a good math one. Nice. Okay, so this one is a box plot. Are you guys familiar with box plots? They come up somewhat infrequently, but they do come up. It's asking for the closest to the median number of acres. Box and whiskers. Yeah. Box and whisker plot. Median number of acres on a box and whiskers plot. Well, to get that, you would just look in the center of the box. I think the box is missing a small part here on the top, but that's fine. So yeah, the median is actually going to be the center line within the box structure here. That's the median. And the median looks to be around 7,000 to me, so we can immediately choose B. If it's asking you for like the maximum, you could find that here. If it's asking for the 25th percentile, you could find that here, or 75th percentile, or sometimes they call it the first quartile and the third quartile. But the median is always the mark that's in the center of the box. That's going to be answer choice B. Do a couple more math problems here. This one says, an artist paints and sells square tiles. The selling price, P, in dollars of a painted tile is a linear function of the side length, as shown in a table below. Which of the following could define the relationship between S and P? Well, let's take a look at the slope here. It looks like, in terms of the rise over the run, the price goes up $10 for every 3 units. This should be our slope, right? When we increase the side length by 3 units from 3 to 6, the price went up from 8 to 18. So that's an increase of 10 for every 3 units in X. So that's our slope. And that matches up with B and C. And then we just have to choose the correct y-intercept. It's not going to be 8, right? 8 is when S is equal to 3. We want when S is equal to 0. The way we could find that is by taking when S is equal to 3, then P is equal to $8. Then we can use the slope, knowing that for every 3 units that we go up in S, the price has to go up by 10. Or we can go backwards even. We know that if we go down minus 3, the price would have to go minus 10. So if S is equal to 0, then the price would go from 8 minus 10, which is negative 2. And that's going to match up with answer choice C. I think I've got spots for, looks like one more question here. So I see one in the chat. Let me put that in. Oh yeah. This one is a good one. This one is a really good one. Because you have to know what they're trying to test here. They're testing you on the sine and cosine of complementary angles. It says here sine of A is equal to cosine of B. Do you guys know when this is true? If angle A and B add up to 90 degrees, they're complementary angles, acute angles, then sine of A will equal to cosine of B. And vice versa. The opposite is also true. So now we know that angle A and B add up to 90 degrees. That's the missing piece of information you need to be able to connect this to solve for K. Otherwise, you do not have enough information to be able to solve for K because you have an unknown A, unknown B, and unknown K with only these 2 equations. But now we have a third equation, 3 equations and 3 unknowns. So we can take A plus B equal to 90 and just replace the A with 4K minus 22. Replace the B with 6K minus 13. We can continue to simplify that as well to get 10K minus 35 is equal to 90. Or 10K is equal to 125. If you divide by 10, you get K is equal to 12.5. That'll be answer choice C. Yep. I think that's about all the space that we have for questions for today, so I'll probably go and end it off there. Don't forget, you guys can check out my Explore page for more SAT stuff, including where I post all these session recordings. And I'll see you guys next week.